Welcome back to our channel, Rare Coins All World, Coin Collectors and Treasure Hunters. Today, we're diving into a coin that might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever. The 1974 Washington quarter might seem like just another everyday coin, but there are some rare and highly valuable versions out there that could be worth an absolute fortune. If you've ever wondered whether that old quarter lying in your drawer is actually a hidden gem, then you'll want to watch this video until the end. Because by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what makes this coin so special and how one of these rare quarters could be worth a life-changing amount of money. Before we get into the mind-blowing value, let's first take a look at the history, design, rarity, and unique features of the 1974 Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It quickly became one of the most recognized coins in the United States, and its design has remained iconic ever since. By 1974, the quarter had already been in circulation for over 4 decades, but what makes this particular year so interesting is that it falls right before a major transition in U.S. coinage. This time, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metals and designs for the upcoming bicentennial quarter in 1976. This means that some 1974 quarters have unique minting quirks, errors, and other rare features that make them highly sought after by collectors. The design of the 1974 Washington quarter is classic and instantly recognizable. On the front, you'll see the portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. His profile faces left, with the word Liberty above his head and the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left. Below his chin, you'll find the date, 1974. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the majestic image of a bald eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows. Below it are 2 olive branches, symbolizing peace. Above the eagle, you'll see the phrase, United States of America, and the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. One of the most crucial details collectors look for is the mint mark, which tells us where the coin was made. In 1974, Washington quarters were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If your quarter has a small d below the wreath on the back, it was made in Denver. If it has an S, it came from San Francisco, and if there's no mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. So, what makes the 1974 Washington quarter so valuable? While most quarters from this year are common and only worth face value, a few rare variations and errors can turn them into collector's gold. The most sought-after 1974 quarters include those with misprints, doubling errors, or unique characteristics caused during the minting process. One of the most famous and valuable versions is the 1974 quarter struck on the wrong type of metal. Some rare examples were mistakenly minted on planchets intended for other coins, such as silver or experimental materials. These error coins are so rare that only a handful have ever been discovered, making them extremely valuable. Another rare and valuable version of this coin is the 1974 Washington quarter with a double die error. This occurs when the coin's design is imprinted slightly off, creating a doubled effect on the text or image. If you look closely at the words, "In God We Trust," or the date, you might notice a slight doubling effect, which means you could be holding something very special. Now comes the part you've been waiting for. How much could a rare 1974 Washington quarter actually be worth? If you're lucky enough to own one of these ultra-rare error coins in top-notch condition, its value can skyrocket. And in some cases, collectors and auction houses have paid as much as $95,000 for a single rare 1974 Washington quarter. That's right, $95,000 for just one quarter. So, the next time you come across a 1974 quarter, take a good look at it. Check the mint mark, inspect it for any doubling errors, and even weigh it to see if it was struck on a different metal. You never know, you might be holding a coin worth a small fortune. Today, we have something truly exciting to talk about, a coin that might be hiding in your collection, waiting to be discovered. We're diving deep into the world of the 1971 Washington quarter, a coin that most people overlook but could be worth an incredible amount of money if you have the right one. So stick around until the very end because you won't believe just how valuable this coin can be. the Washington quarter has been an essential part of American coinage since its introduction in 1932. Designed to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington, this quarter quickly became one of the most recognizable and widely used coins in American history. Over the years, it has undergone several changes, but the classic design has remained a staple in U.S. currency. The 1971 Washington quarter was struck in 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. If you have one of these coins, the first thing you'll want to do is check for a mint mark. Look just below the eagle on the reverse side. If you see a small D, it means your coin was minted in Denver. If you see an S, it was minted in San Francisco. And if there's no mint mark at all, it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, let's talk about the design of this quarter. On the obverse side, you'll find the iconic profile of George Washington, facing left. Above his head is the word Liberty, while the phrase, "In God We Trust," sits just to the left of his profile. Below his chin, you'll see the year 1971. This design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, has been a defining feature of the Washington quarter since it was first introduced. On the reverse side, we see a majestic bald eagle with its wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons. Below the eagle, you'll notice a pair of olive branches, symbolizing peace. Above the eagle, the words "United States of America" are proudly displayed, along with the Latin phrase "e pluribus unum," meaning "out of many, one." This classic design remained in circulation for decades before being replaced by the state quarters program in 1999.so. What makes the 1971 Washington quarter so valuable? Most quarters from this year are made of copper and nickel and were produced in large quantities. However, there are rare versions of this coin that stand out from the rest and command extremely high prices among collectors. Some of the most valuable versions include error coins, rare mint variations, and special striking anomalies that make them unique. One of the most sought-after 1971 quarters is the rare silver version. By 1971, the U.S. Mint had completely transitioned to copper-nickel-clad coinage, but a few Washington quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from previous years. These rare silver quarters are nearly impossible to find in circulation, and if you happen to have one, it could be worth a fortune. Another valuable variation is the double die error. This happens when the coin's design is struck twice by mistake, causing a slight doubling effect on the lettering or details of the coin. If you notice any doubling on the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or even on Washington's face, you might be holding a rare double die error coin. Collectors also seek out quarters with off-center strikes, missing edge reading, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. These unique minting errors make certain quarters highly collectible and significantly increase their value in the numismatic market. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, just how much can a rare 1971 Washington quarter be worth? If you happen to own one of these rare, error-filled, or silver-struck 1971 Washington quarters in pristine condition, it could be valued at an astonishing $99,000. That's right, $99,000 for a single quarter. So before you spend that loose change, take a closer look. That old quarter in your pocket could be worth far more than just 25 cents. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, and we have something truly special for you. If you have a Washington quarter from 1979, you might be holding onto a hidden fortune. While most people see these quarters as just another piece of change, some rare variations have made them incredibly valuable. Make sure to stick around until the end, because you won't believe how much a rare 1979 Washington quarter could be worth today. The Washington quarter has been a part of American history since 1932, introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Over the decades, this coin has undergone various changes, but its classic design has remained a symbol of American pride and heritage. The 1979 Washington quarter is one of the more interesting years for collectors, as it was produced in 3 different U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If you have a 1979 quarter, the first thing you should do is check for the mint mark. Look just below the eagle's tail feathers on the reverse side of the coin. If you see a small d, it was minted in Denver. If there's an S, it came from the San Francisco Mint. If there's no mint mark at all, that means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. These small details can make a huge difference in the value of your coin. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of this historic quarter. On the obverse side, you'll find the profile of George Washington, facing left. Above his head, the word Liberty is boldly displayed, and to the left, you'll see the phrase, "In God We Trust." Just below his chin, the year 1979 is engraved, marking the year of minting. This iconic design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and has remained a staple in American coinage for decades. Flipping the coin over to the reverse side, you'll see a beautifully detailed bald eagle with its wings spread wide. The eagle is clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend. Below the eagle, olive branches represent peace, balancing the powerful imagery of the arrows. Above the eagle, the words United States of America are proudly displayed, along with the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This design remained unchanged for many years before the introduction of the State Quarters program in 1999.so. What makes the 1979 Washington quarter so valuable? While millions of these quarters were minted for circulation, a few rare varieties and error coins have made certain 1979 quarters worth a fortune. One of the most sought-after versions is the rare silver-struck quarter. By 1979, the U.S. Mint had completely switched to copper-nickel-clad coins, but a few were mistakenly struck on leftover 40% silver planchets from previous years. If you have a 1979 quarter that appears to have a silvery, more vibrant shine compared to regular quarters, you might be holding on to something incredibly valuable. Another major factor that increases a quarter's value is mint errors. Some of the rarest 1979 quarters include double die errors, where the design elements appear slightly duplicated due to misalignment during the minting process. If you notice any doubling on the words Liberty or In God We Trust, you might have a double die error coin, which collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. Other valuable error coins include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, missing edge reading, or coin struck on the wrong planchet. These mistakes make certain coins stand out from the rest, making them highly desirable among collectors. Of course, condition is everything when it comes to determining the true value of a coin. A well-circulated 1979 quarter will usually only be worth its face value of 25 cents, but if you find one in mint, uncirculated condition, or with a rare error, its value skyrockets. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, just how much can a rare 1979 Washington quarter be worth? If you happen to own one of these rare and valuable 1979 Washington quarters in top condition, it could be worth an astonishing $92,000. That's right, $92,000 for a single quarter. So before you spend that change, take a close look at your quarters. You might just be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Washington quarter, specifically the 1965 edition. While most people see quarters as just another coin in their pocket, some of them are actually worth a fortune. And believe it or not, certain rare 1965 quarters have sold for an incredible amount of money. Stay with me until the end because you won't believe how valuable this coin can be. The Washington quarter has a long and rich history, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. For decades, it was made of 90% silver, making it a highly sought-after coin not just for its design but also for its precious metal content. However, 1965 marked a major turning point in U.S. coinage history. This was the year the U.S. Mint officially stopped using silver in quarters and switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition due to rising silver prices. This change makes the 1965 Washington quarter a particularly interesting coin. It was the very first year of the new clad quarters, meaning it represents a historical shift in American currency. But here's where things get exciting. Despite the switch, some 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on 90% silver planchets left over from previous years. These rare silver 1965 quarters are among the most valuable modern U.S. coins ever discovered. Before we dive into the value, let's first take a closer look at the design of this historic coin. On the obverse side, we see the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His profile faces left, with the word Liberty above his head and the phrase, "In God We Trust," to the left. Below his chin, you'll see the year 1965, marking its mintage. This iconic design has remained a staple of American coinage for decades, symbolizing the nation's respect for its first president. Flipping the coin over to the reverse, we see a powerful bald eagle with its wings spread wide. Clutched in its talons is a bundle of arrows, representing strength and readiness, while below the eagle, olive branches symbolize peace. Above, the words, United States of America, curve along the edge, along with the national motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This design remained in place until the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1965 quarter so incredibly valuable. As I mentioned earlier, most 1965 quarters were made of copper nickel, but a few rare ones were mistakenly struck on silver planchets from 1964. This minting error makes them extremely rare and valuable. So, how can you tell if you have one of these rare silver quarters? One easy way to check is by looking at the edge of the coin. If you see a solid silver color with no copper strip in the middle, you may have a silver quarter. Another method is to weigh the coin. A regular 1965 copper-nickel quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter from 1964 weighs around 6.25 grams. If your 1965 quarter is heavier than normal, you might have one of these rare errors, but that's not the only valuable version of this coin. Some 1965 quarters also have minting errors, making them even more desirable. Some of the most sought-after errors include double die obverse or reverse, where design elements appear double due to a misalignment in the minting process. Off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly centered. Missing edge reading, where the small ridges on the edge of the coin are missing due to a minting mistake. These errors make certain 1965 quarters highly collectible, and collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars to add them to their collections. Of course, as with any rare coin, condition is everything. A circulated 1965 quarter that has been used in everyday transactions is generally worth only face value. However, if you have one in uncirculated condition or with one of these rare errors, the value can skyrocket. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, just how much can a rare 1965 Washington quarter be worth? If you're lucky enough to own one of these rare 1965 quarters in top condition, it could be worth an astonishing $85,000. That's right, $85,000 for a single quarter. So before you spend that spare change, take a moment to check your quarters. You might just be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Today, we're diving into an exciting topic that could change the way you look at the coins in your pocket. We're talking about the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1990. You may think of it as just another common coin, but what if I told you that certain rare 1990 quarters are worth an absolute fortune? Stick with me until the end, because the value of this coin will leave you speechless. The Washington quarter is one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, this coin has been a staple in American currency for nearly a century. But while millions of these quarters have been produced over the years, some rare variations and minting errors make certain editions incredibly valuable. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1990 Washington quarter and what makes it stand out. On the obverse side, we see the classic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His left-facing profile has been featured on the quarter for decades, with the word Liberty above his head and the phrase, In God We Trust, to the left. Below his chin, the year 1990 is inscribed, marking its production year. While this design has remained largely unchanged since its introduction, some hidden details make the 1990 version particularly interesting. Flipping the coin over to the reverse, we find the majestic bald eagle, a symbol of American strength and freedom. The eagle's wings are fully spread, and it holds a bundle of arrows in its talons, signifying readiness for defense. Below the eagle, you'll notice olive branches, which represent peace. Surrounding the design are the words United States of America at the top and E pluribus unum just below. Finally, the denomination, $quarter, is proudly displayed at the bottom. While the 1990 quarter may seem like just another ordinary coin, there are certain versions of it that collectors are willing to pay a fortune for. First, let's talk about mint marks. The 1990 quarter was produced at multiple U.S. mint locations, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can identify where your quarter was minted by looking for a small letter on the obverse side, right next to Washington's braid. A P mint mark means the coin was minted in Philadelphia. A D mint mark means it was struck in Denver. An S mint mark indicates a proof coin from San Francisco. Among these, certain rare variations and errors can make a 1990 quarter worth thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars. One of the most valuable versions of the 1990 Washington quarter is the rare off-metal error. This occurs when a quarter is mistakenly struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. For example, some 1990 quarters were struck on planchets meant for other coins, leading to dramatic differences in weight and composition. These errors are incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Another rare and valuable variation is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice with a slight shift in alignment, creating a doubled effect on letters and numbers. If you look closely at a 1990 quarter and notice any doubling, particularly on the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," you might be holding a rare and valuable coin. There are also off-center strike errors, where the design is misaligned, and missing clad layer errors, where part of the outer nickel coating is missing, exposing the copper core underneath. These rare errors can significantly increase the value of a 1990 quarter. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part. How much could a rare 1990 quarter actually be worth? If you happen to own a 1990 quarter with a rare error, in pristine condition, it could be worth an astonishing $88,000. That's right, $88,000 for a single quarter. So before you spend your spare change, take a second to check your quarters. You never know, you might be carrying a hidden treasure in your pocket right now.